Is it a coincidence that the most magnetic, beautiful, famous, and successful people are all self-obsessed? Absolutely not. Think of Marilyn Monroe, who captivated the world with her beauty, her charm, her magnetism, and her aura. She manifested her allure through self-love, self-adoration, and self-obsession practices. Think of Michael Jackson, who tantalized the world with his brilliance and his talent and his artistry. He manifested his king of pop status through self-belief, self-devotion, and self-obsession. Think of Kim Kardashian, who continues to garner global salience with her beauty, her brand, and her business. She manifested global adoration and fame through believing in herself when the world never did. What these influential and magnetic people all have in common is an unwavering sense of self-acceptance and an obsession with themselves that makes them their #1 priority. But the obsession doesn't end with themselves. The obsession lies in their craft, their vision, and their unlimited potential. And I want you to become obsessed with your craft, your vision, and your unlimited potential. True self-obsession is actually a behavioral shift and all about how you act and how you show up. Because your self-obsessed self is your higher self, who is and already has everything you desire. Oh my gosh, I knew it. And today we're going to talk about the 3 icons of self-obsession, who are Marilyn Monroe, Michael Jackson, and Kim Kardashian. Marilyn Monroe became the most beautiful woman in the world through self-obsession. Michael Jackson became the king of pop through self-obsession. And Kim Kardashian turned being underestimated into a billion-dollar empire through self-obsession. And we're going to talk about exactly how they did it today. Hey, my angels, I'm Christian, and welcome back to my YouTube channel where we talk all things mindset, manifestation, spiritual healing, and beauty. By the end of this video, you will learn exactly how to transform your life through self-love and self-obsession practices, just like Marilyn, MJ, and Kim Kardashian did and continue to do. You will learn exactly how to transform into your higher self the way they did, because everything I do is about helping you become and embody your highest, most powerful, and abundant self. Becoming self-obsessed is all about identity work, and you already know this is exactly what I teach all over my Instagram and TikTok. And I even have a whole chapter on self-obsession in my Higher Self method, where I teach you the standards, the practices, and the secrets to manifesting your dream life. Because manifesting your dream life starts with becoming the version of you who already has it all, and becoming the version of you who's self-obsessed. Now, if I'm going to teach you exactly how to become self-obsessed, you need to first trust me. You know, growing up, I was so self-obsessed and so unapologetically myself. I was confident, I loved wearing makeup and wearing dresses, and I was so authentic in my self-expression. But over time, as I got older, society projected their limiting beliefs onto me and told me I was too much and too feminine and too different. I internalized those devastating limiting beliefs about my worth and my potential and who I was allowed to be. And I know you've experienced this too, because so many of us as children are inherently self-loving and self-obsessed. And because of that, we get taught to be humble by our family or school system or just society in general. But what humble really means is to make yourself smaller so other people feel comfortable. But if you have to shrink yourself to make other people feel comfortable, you're around the wrong people. What Marilyn, Michael, and Kim teach us is that it's okay to take up space. And if anything, we should. They were never afraid to be seen, to be judged, or to be criticized for being self-obsessed. And if anything, seeing people like them in a state of self-love and self-obsession should inspire us to be the same. And I'm here to help you overcome those early limitations projected onto us and truly learn how to become self-obsessed. But before we get into Marilyn, MJ, and Kim, we first need to define what self-obsession really is. You know, true self-obsession isn't narcissism. It's not arrogance or selfishness in the inconsiderate or destructive way. True self-obsession is the act of choosing yourself over and over again. True self-obsession is radical self-love, self-protection, and self-prioritization. To be selfish does not mean you're inconsiderate. To be self-obsessed does not mean you're conceited. To be self-validating does not mean you're arrogant. And to be self-loving does not mean you're narcissistic. Now that that's clear, let's talk about the first icon of self-obsession, Marilyn Monroe. I mean, Marilyn Monroe is the most perfect example of transforming yourself through self-obsession because she literally created herself. Marilyn Monroe was not born Marilyn Monroe. Marilyn Monroe was born Norma Jean, an ordinary girl who experienced abandonment and instability and deep rejection. But instead of accepting the identity the world gave her, she became obsessed with creating a new one. She studied beauty, femininity, glamour, and magnetism. She practiced her expressions, her poses, her voice, and her aura. Marilyn Monroe famously used visualization and mirror work to embody the version of herself she wanted to become. She understood that identity is not fixed. She understood that your identity is something you create. And that's why Marilyn is an icon of self-obsession. Because she teaches us that when you become obsessed with yourself, the whole world does too. This is like my favorite quote ever, but she once said, "I daydreamed chiefly about beauty. I daydreamed of myself becoming so beautiful that people would turn to look at me when I passed." And that's exactly what they did. Because to Marilyn, beauty was not just about looks or vanity. To Marilyn, beauty was about self-love and self-obsession. When you truly love yourself and are obsessed with yourself, your energy radiates that and makes you magnetic just like Marilyn. There's a reason she was and is still known as literally the most beautiful woman in history. Because when you become obsessed with yourself, you stop waiting for permission or external validation to be and become who you're meant to be. Marilyn wasn't magnetic because she was perfect. Marilyn was magnetic because she wasn't afraid to take up space. Marilyn wasn't afraid to be seen and even criticized for being provocative and empowered in her sexuality. And that's because she was so deeply connected to herself. Her beauty, her sensuality, and her self-expression. And so the power we derive from Marilyn Monroe is the power of self-creation. Self-obsession through Marilyn is allowing yourself to become art, to consciously create your beauty, your aura, your energy, and your identity. So on that note, let's talk about the second icon of self-obsession, Michael Jackson. Michael Jackson is literally one of the greatest examples of self-belief and self-obsession the world has ever seen. I literally just saw the Michael biopic and I'm even more in love with him than ever. And I love how it shows why he's an icon of self-obsession and manifestation and self-belief and devotion to his craft. You know, Michael Jackson didn't become the king of pop accidentally. He became the king of pop because he was so obsessed with his vision and his artistry and his potential. He famously visualized and affirmed and manifested his success long before the world recognized it. He used to tell himself, "I have the greatest selling record of all time. I'm the greatest selling best-selling artist of all time. He rehearsed relentlessly and practiced his performances relentlessly and honed his craft to perfection. Because true self-obsession isn't about just obsessing over your appearance. It's about obsessing over your purpose. Michael understood the assignment, and he understood that greatness requires devotion. While most people procrastinate and doubt themselves and abandon their dreams, self-obsessed people like MJ become consumed by their vision. They refine it, protect it, and prioritize it. MJ wasn't afraid to believe he was destined for greatness. And that unwavering self-belief changed music history forever. And so the power we derive from Michael Jackson is the power of devotion. Self-obsession through Michael Jackson means becoming devoted to your craft, devoted to your excellence, and devoted to the highest version of yourself. Because when you become obsessed with your potential, being average becomes impossible for you. And so on that note, let's talk about the third and final icon of self-obsession, Kim Kardashian. I love Kim Kardashian and her career, her grit, her resilience, her work ethic, and her self-obsession has been like the biggest inspiration for my own grit and my own perseverance and ambition and work ethic and self-obsession. Even though Kim Kardashian is considered to be the modern day Marilyn Monroe for her beauty and her magnetism and her charm, the real reason she's an icon of self-obsession is for a different reason. Kim Kardashian is actually one of the greatest examples of self-belief the modern world has ever seen. At the start of her career, the whole world underestimated her. Critics mocked her, tabloids criticized her, and the whole world reduced her to her fame and sexuality. But while people were laughing at her, she was building an empire. Because Kim understood that self-obsession means refusing to internalize other people's projections. She continued to show up. She continued to evolve, to build, and to believe in herself regardless of public opinion. And that's exactly what most people fail to do. Self-obsessed people like Kim Kardashian don't abandon themselves or shrivel up in shame the second they're criticized. They don't shrink themselves the moment they're judged or misunderstood. Self-obsessed people keep going. Sorry, my battery just died, but I was saying that Kim prioritized herself, her goals, her image, her vision, and her future unapologetically. And because of that, she transformed from fascination to influence, from influence to business, and from business to generational wealth. The power we derive from Kim Kardashian is unwavering self-love and self-belief, even in the face of criticism. Self-obsession through Kim Kardashian means loving yourself so deeply that other people's criticism becomes irrelevant. Self-obsession through Kim Kardashian means refusing to shrink just because your power makes other people uncomfortable. Self-obsession through Kim Kardashian means believing in yourself so fiercely that your success is inevitable despite being underestimated. So to recap, the three icons of self-obsession are Marilyn Monroe, who became the most beautiful woman in the world through self-obsession, and who teaches us that self-obsession is self-creation. Michael Jackson, who became the king of pop through self-obsession, and teaches us that self-obsession is self-devotion. And Kim Kardashian, who turned being underestimated into $1 billion empire through self-obsession. And she teaches us that self-obsession is unwavering self-belief, even in the face of criticism. And when you combine all three, you become unstoppable. Because self-obsession isn't about being inconsiderate or narcissistic or arrogant. True self-obsession is about loving yourself enough to always prioritize your growth, your healing, your dreams, your beauty, your purpose, and your potential. And that's your higher self, who's already so self-obsessed and has and is everything you were destined to be. And now it's your turn to become them and become self-obsessed too. I love you so much, my angels. I'm so grateful for all your love and support and this beautiful community we're building. All your comments and all your messages never go unnoticed. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you next week for another video.